Good evening, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Salam Media. I am your host for tonight with Friday Night Sports, Dhakir Dawood. I will be with you for the next hour, taking you right through until 8 o'clock. We've got a jam packed show this evening. First up, we're going to be talking to Varsity Sports, Xhanti um, Nesi. He's going to be telling us a bit more about what's happening in Varsity Sports this season. Right after that, we're going to jump straight into AFCON preparations for the final. And then to wrap it up, we've got an exclusive interview, never been done before. Mustafa Bumgar, the manager of the Lions, will be giving us some intimate details about his illness that he's recently recovered from and making his return to the sidelines of Emirates Airline Park. Well, first up, we're going to be chatting to Xhanti-Lomzi Nesi about the Varsity Cup. For those of you that don't know, Varsity Cup was first launched in 2008, where South Africa's top universities compete against each other to see who will be the university that rocks. In 2009, the tournament in 2019, I beg your pardon, the tournament came to stop mid-season due to COVID-19 hitting our shores in South Africa. Last year, the tournament was played, but within a strict COVID-19 bubble. This year, the tournament returns to campuses, and this is going to be an interesting one because the tournament that's been made by the fans and what keeps the tournament as engaging as it is the fans. And joining us on the line is Xhanti-Lomzi Nesi. Good evening. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening on a Friday night, especially to join us on Salam Media to chat more about your beloved Varsity Cup.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to chat Varsity Cup, and as you say, it is. It's a tournament that captures the heart. It's a tournament that really is all about the vibrancy and all of that. So it's always exciting to talk about it and to get new people on board.
Nessie, just before we get into the nitty gritty and breaking everything down, tell us a bit more about yourself and how exactly you got involved in Varsity Cup.
So thanks. Yeah. So for myself, I've always been a rugby lover and someone who played rugby at school. And when I was at UCT, at the times in my first and second year, I was club captain for the UCT rugby club. And Franca had this idea where they wanted Franca Pino, where he was working for F&B and they wanted to get the best universities together to play in a tournament. And they launched this tournament called the Varsity Cup. And it really caught on with the students. You know, if you think about it, was the one place on campus where everyone could come together. You know, universities are the one place in South Africa where people from different backgrounds can get to mix. You had kids who went to the most private schools, Bishops, Hilton, Michael House, to kids who come from the location in Matlaki, Soweto, Orlando, all of these different places, and all of a sudden they could all come and celebrate and watch their team play. And I was captain UCT at that time, and so what happened is I chatted to Franca and he said, listen, when you're done with your qualification, let's see if we can do something together. And after I traveled overseas a bit and worked overseas, I came back and they had grown to varsity sports, which included netball, football, and all the other sporting codes. And it was great to join them and to see how it could go. And unfortunately, I've stayed all these years and we've built this thing over the years, and it's grown in leaps and bounds, and it's so integral to the university experience.
That's so true. And I mean, what is a varsity experience without experience in Varsity Cup rugby? This year the tournament returns to campuses with COVID still being a thing. How did the logistics behind everything and the planning behind this season's Varsity Cup to allow the tournament to return to campuses? How did the planning go?
It's such a good question, isn't it? We look at last year, you know, we really wanted to continue with the tournament in a safe way. And I mean, planning a Varsity Cup in a bubble, bringing all those teams, we work across 17 universities that have big squads, lots of coaches, lots of high profile coaches. And to play the tournament in the bubble was a massive experience for us from a planning perspective, you know. All these new regulations, how the world was adapting, getting new information all the time and learning how to structure this new form of a tournament. So it was quite a steep building hill, and we managed to pull it off and put together an amazing 2020 tournament where all the games could be televised and the students could watch them. However, in 2021, in 2022, we knew we wanted to go back to the campuses. You were so spot on in the opening that Varsity Cup is about vibrancy. So if people ask what's the difference between a Curry Cup rugby match or the URC rugby match and a Varsity Cup rugby match, your answer was spot on. It's the vibe. It's the fans. It's because you have a student audience that's young, looking to have a good time. It's a Monday night. Let's have a bit of a tour. And that's what people love to see. Then you see student rugby, running rugby, and everyone having a lot of fun. So we knew we needed to bring that essence back. And part of our planning was let's go back to university campuses to create in a bubble where we restrict people and people can't get back into it. We just rob students once again of something that I think is key to their student experience. And we made the decision to plan to go back to university. And again, the situation is very fluid. There's talks that the government might increase the number of people allowed at games. And we look forward to that decision. We think it's the right time. We've seen across Africa that at the AFCON games that we'll be talking about a bit later in the show that they've got crowds there, and they're able to safely deliver the African Cup of Nations. So there's no reason South Africa cannot at this point be able to make some calls to increase the crowd because people are really wanting to get back into our sporting arenas and support South African sport. So we hope that'll be in time for people to do that at Varsity Cup. And as you say, on a Monday night, on Valentine's Day, people will tune in and watch some of the best rugby in this country with a lot of students having a lot of fun back at the campuses.
Well, I think sport is robbing a lot of females from enjoying the Valentine's Day because not only is the Varsity Cup that will be starting at about 5 o'clock that afternoon, right after that, the Champions League returns to our screens. So,
Oh,
ladies, if
oh,
you're not coming with a vibe on that night for the men and we're not trading places, I think there's going to be tough competition with sport.
oh, that is brilliant. We've got a Wi-Fi out the Champions League as well that night. She won't be happy. But you're so right. In South Africa, we're a sports mad nation. And I think a lot of people will want to go back and say, we're not supporting our own sports. We're all watching foreign sport, international sport, which is great because we love high performance sport. But I do think we've got a product here where there's no other university rugby tournament this size in the world. And it's a shame to put 2,000 people at a Northwest Stadium where they're playing UCT when we know that game is a sellout game. At least 50% of the crowd creates a bit of a vibe, creates a bit of an audience, and then we can start trying to return to a new normal. And just having people back there supporting our local sports, which I think will be encouraging to everyone.
Nisi, you spoke about the product, and this is
Yeah.
where my sports brain kicks in. And being a sport management graduate, this is what ticks my brain. The country has gone through so much over the past 2 years, and yet Varsity Cup, despite what the country is going through, Varsity Cup still came through and had a broadcast sponsor. You still had headline sponsors for the tournament. How did you manage to keep that all together and keep a tournament like Varsity Cup on the TV screens for spectators? And just from a management point of view and a business point of view, what boxes
It's,
did you
it's
guys
such
tick to pull that off?
it's an absolutely brilliant question. I can't tell you enough how, having worked in the sports industry, I get so frustrated that people don't ask these kind of questions and understand the business fundamentals that drive sporting decisions. A lot of sports in South Africa, you see them put together tournaments where there's no crowd, there's no viewership, there's no sponsors, and people say, South Africa, there's no support from business. But there's almost no business case to support. So to answer your question, what we've always done at Varsity Cup, which I think we do really well, is we put the fan first. We say at the end of the day, this must be a product that must be consumed by some spectator. If you look at American sports, they do that extremely well. You look at NFL games, 80,000 people in a stadium, millions of people watching on television. Again, understandably, they have a large population. You look at the UK as an example, similar to ours, similar population size, and their football games are packed week in, week out because they understand they're going to deliver a product for the consumer. So at Varsity Cup, it's something we've always put front and center in our decision making. How is the consumer going to reach a product, and how are they going to be able to consume it? And the key decision, if I can make an example, is last year we saw if you put a rugby game on television and there's no ambience in the stadium, it's almost like watching a team practice, which is not a good feel.
Mm.
And we immediately saw the English Premier League. They played fan noises, they covered up the seats, they made it still feel like an intimate game that you could watch on TV for hours on end. And when we did that with our Varsity Cup project, we said, make sure that there's ambience in the stadium, there's a bit of vibrancy. People don't want to watch teams practicing, where you can hear them swearing at each other or shouting calls. And it worked brilliantly. We saw that now viewership, people were watching, they were tuning in. And we saw some other competitions where people said it's the same teams playing each other over and over. There's no interest in watching.
Mm.
And I think that's what made our sponsors stick with us. They realized Varsity Cup is a platform that gets people. It's a platform that people want to watch, and they want to put their products there and be associated with us. And again, from a super sport perspective, they're sitting saying, this is a product that gets decoded. It's a product that gets people to subscribe and they want to watch their kids play and tell their families to go and watch their kids. And for us, a big thing is if I look at the Varsity Shield, you've got all your previously disadvantaged universities, TUT, Forte, Walter
Mm.
Sisulu, Old. See, those are some of the biggest universities in this country. And all of them have a proud alumni that would love to watch their teams play on television. So we know we still have a big market to tap into in this country. When you put a Rhodes versus Forte game, people might think those aren't two traditional rugby universities, but those are universities with a long history and a big audience and a number of people who work in corporate, who live in Johannesburg or Cape Town,
Mm.
who would tune in to watch those games. So what's helped us survive is constantly thinking this is a commercial product. So our thinking about it must be beyond just the rugby game and the technical elements. Is thinking about how do we package it for our audiences so that people want to come to games and want to watch it on television.
Mm. And it goes much broader than that because in a regular rugby season or Varsity Cup season for that matter, about 2,500 flights are flown in the Varsity Cup. You've recently managed to pin down a partnership with Lift Airlines, also a airline that is new to the South African market. And you've got two brands that are currently, one is up and coming in the industry. You've got Varsity Cup that own the space. You're coming together, you found a mutual ground, and it's like one hand washing the other. How is this going to
100%.
benefit your brand going forward?
100%. And for us, as you know, Varsity Cup, we're always tinkering with the rules. We're always looking for innovations. And one of the things we always say is you've got to test our partnerships. You know, we've had some amazing partnerships over the years. And to partner with someone like Lyft, we know that they're looking at they're putting the student at the center, saying how do we make it affordable for people to travel in this country. So an amazing thing is if you ask any student, would you fly to Johannesburg and go spend a week at that? They would say yes. It's just when you start putting those costs together, it becomes too expensive, so no one
Mm.
does it. Whereas we partner with the airline here that can see that we have a massive population that is willing to do things if we can make them affordable and we can build with it. So we're excited to partner with the likes of Lyft to say, let's create a culture here where people go to things. If when we talk about the sporting industry here, you'll see some key games where you're just disappointed in the crowd numbers. Only when a Kaiser Chiefs or Pirates play that the crowd really comes out. And we've got to change the culture. It's people like yourself of sports management and work in the industry that we need to come together and say that's not sustainable. How do we start partnering with commercial sort of partners where we can create packages for students to travel or fans to go watch games and there's fan clubs and there's hotels they can stay. Then people will get into a culture of traveling with their team and going to watch matches. And once the stadiums are full, our research says you will get the television audience. If you have empty stadiums, you can't get people to watch because no one wants to watch a dead product on television. So it's an exciting partnership with us to be able to say we've got a airline partner, we've got a hotel partner in Silver Sun, we've got a bus partner in Intercape, and now it's just finding ways to put a deal together where a
Mm.
student can say it's an easy decision for me to get on a bus, get on a flight, travel to Stellenbosch to go watch our game against Marty's and have a absolute hell of a night in Stellenbosch, and then travel back safely. And if we can get that culture going in South Africa, I think it will be amazing for our sports industry.
No, spot on. And I think the key thing is here, just looking at Lyft Airlines and um, their target market. Their target market is your target market, and that's the students who aren't yet in the working fraternity and they're not earning enough money to basically book them first class flights from Joburg to Cape Town. And as a
True.
student, you're going to take the cheapest deal that comes through, and boom, you're gone, you're out of here. So I think that was a partnership where the nail was hit on the head. Nessie, moving on now to the sporting side of things. Varsity Cup was last year played in the bubble, and it took its toll on the players as well as everybody else. This year,
Yeah.
we've seen that you're going to be having also the festival style for Varsity Shield. Tell us a bit more about the thought process behind that.
Yeah, so what we said is in the Varsity Shield, as we spoke about just now, we knew the bubble was taxing on a lot of teams, and it actually taught us a lot. I think our campaign has always been mental health, and we really found that that was a key role in last year's tournament. A lot of the teams that did well had sort of tough mental coaches within their structures that helped them get through those bubbles. The Varsity Shield, we said we need to broadcast these matches to the people. Like we spoke about earlier, if you play these matches at separate venues, you can't get SuperSport to all of them. You can't get to broadcast all the matches, which is then sad in that people say, why are our universities not being shown? You've got a DUT, you've got a UKZN, and if you don't show the shield, all the Durban students in that province have no one that they can get behind. So by playing the shield in these ample weekends that travel around the country, almost like a globetrotter, you can still televise all of them and still get the student experience. So it's an exciting innovation and part of what we've spoken about to say, how do you keep tinkering with your competition in a way that allows the consumer to watch it and get it all on television, yet still deliver high performance? So the weekends aren't, it's not long doubles, it's only two nights that they're there and they
Mm.
play matches and then they travel and then they skip a week. So there's enough rest and there's enough variety that they're not playing at the same venue all the time that you can still watch it all on television. So I think it's a brilliant structure and it'll be interesting for us to see the results that we've managed to be innovative in how we think that you can still get to each university, but you've packaged it in these bumper weekends that we can now broadcast where traditionally we wouldn't have been able to broadcast the Shield.
No, definitely. We're certainly looking forward to that. We could talk about this for days. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this interview so much. But unfortunately, our time has come to a bit of an end. Nessie, before I do let you go, this season's Varsity Cup, Varsity Shield, what can we look forward to? What can the fans expect from the tournament? Any new rules that we can look out for? Because you guys are always pushing the boundaries when it does come to that. And any message
Yeah.
from you to your spectators to look out for in the Varsity Cup this year?
Yeah, thanks. I think the biggest thing from our side is just to say the right is going to do all the talking. Every year I know people are always expecting Varsity Cup to tinker with a few things and to create some new excitement. But because it's a promotion relegation based on a 2-year system, we didn't want to change much. Otherwise, it's too unfair to say the one year you played with a different set of rules, the next year you changed it. We want to keep things uniform over the 2 years, and two teams will be relegated from the Varsity Cup. That'll make it only 8 teams because it's currently 10. So I think that's enough excitement. I mean, I've been doing a number of interviews talking about it, saying the teams have brought in some heavyweights. We look at Swayze de Brain, who's working with the University of the Free State, Paul
Mm.
True at WC, John Mukwena at UJ. Those are some big names in South African rugby that have been brought into the Varsity Cup space to make sure that those universities don't get relegated. So I think it's going to be a hell of an exciting season to see what happens. And at the end, to see which two teams will go down to the Varsity Shield. And then the field is again another relegation race. You want to make sure you survive. So it'll be interesting to see how the teams perform there and which team will be relegated completely out of the Varsity Cup and Varsity Shield season. So to supporters, step up. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting to see new students. We haven't been on campus in almost 2 years. That they get to experience the whole Varsity Cup package. It's exciting times. And on the first day, you look out for the 50-22 rule. We've twisted it slightly, but I don't want to give that away until Monday, the 14th of February, that people can look forward to seeing that.
Well, Nessie, you know that we're always about breaking news on the show. So, unfortunately, for our listeners, you guys do know the 50-22 rule will be tweaked just a little bit. And you'll have to wait until the opening game of the Varsity Cup to see that. But, Nessie, thanks so much for your time this evening. I really appreciate it. I look forward to chatting to you real soon and looking forward to watching the opening round of Varsity Cup, man.
Brilliant. Thank you. And have a good one and all the best with the rest of the interview. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening. That was Xhanti-Lomzi Nesi giving us a bit of what we can expect in the Varsity Cup season this year to come. We're going to take a quick ad break and then we're going to come back and we're going to be chatting to Mpo Motloani about the AFCON 2021 final that will be taking place this weekend?